we're finally here. No Saul Bookman today. I'm Johnny Venerable, Shane, and Bo. Roll that intro.
Saul Bookman, Marcos Deniza Padre, South Mountain Community College Cougar, and best of all, a Wildcat from the University of Arizona.
Johnny Venerable, Maricopa, Arizona. We have a Denny's and an IHOP.
Bo Brock, the Harvard of Maricopa County, Scottsdale Community College, Fighting Artichokes.
Shane Diefenbach, North Scottsdale Circus School of Arizona. Honk, honk.
Listen, shit happens. Sometimes you just have to go live on Twitter, and we love Twitter, and we love being live here on a football Sunday morning in preparation for Seahawks at Cardinals. We're going to talk about that, but first, gentlemen, we have to talk about the hangover that was college football yesterday. And listen, we can get to LSU here in a hot minute. I'm not going to start with Jaden Daniels. I'm not going to rub salt in my man Shane's wound here. We're going to start with Tennessee, Georgia, the pinnacle game, what was supposed to be the game of the year, ended up, Bo Brock, kind of being a little bit of a dud. Tennessee not yet ready for primetime.
No, they weren't. It was a nice story, right? Fun offense to watch, the big win over Bama. Coming back, Tennessee is back. I think that's one thing two things can be true here. Yeah. One, Tennessee's probably the second best team in the nation, and then there's a huge gap between them and Georgia. Georgia can play big boy football, and they defensively, I mean, there's just a bunch of more first rounders on the way from the Dogs, and also you've got
I love the pronunciation of the W.
Oh yeah, you got to nail it, and then you've got the veterans on offense that were just rolling over. You love that Stetson Bennett. His phone number gets leaked out. You got Tennessee fans call him all night, and he says, "Call me," after he scores a rushing touchdown. What'd they go up 21-3? Didn't look back, and then just kind of salted the game away the rest of the way. Stagnant. It was a big time letdown as far as what the expectations for this contest, but it was also Georgia, just a statement game for them.
Yeah, there's SEC big defensive linemen and offensive linemen in the trenches, and then there's Georgia big. Yeah. And there's just a clear difference there last night. I mean, I think everyone likes to clown Stetson Bennett a little bit just because of how good this team is around him. Yeah. And, I being one of those as well. He's very Jimmy G-esque sometimes, but he did limit mistakes, and he was awesome yesterday. He did. I mean, he looked great. I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great one, but he's going to be an NFL quarterback. He was solid last night.
So Georgia's on a collision course with the Final Four, the number one seed. Where does that leave Tennessee? They get Cupcakes, Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. They're going to finish with one loss. Do we think that Tennessee belongs in the mix to be like the 4 seed, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you look around the country, you look at the other conferences, who's deserving, who's not. Nobody in the ACC, the Big 12, has stepped up and really made the case for those conferences to have a spot. And yeah, I mean, we see it all every year. It seems like 2 SEC teams. And I think Tennessee absolutely deserves a chance, even though they'll be just playing regular season games until then. Absolutely.
One team that does not belong in the Final Four for some time, that being the Alabama Crimson Tide. They go to Baton Rouge in Death Valley and lose to the former Sun Devil, Jaden Daniels and company. Brian Kelly, no longer the butt of everybody's joke. That was a shrewd move, getting him from Notre Dame. Everybody overreacted to that Week 1 loss against Florida State. All they've done since then, they're 7-1 in conference play. And how about your boy, Jaden Daniels? I think we have a graphic from producer Emma on Jaden Daniels. He has been on a tear in recent weeks, dating back to 3 weeks ago. Florida, Ole Miss, and Alabama. Over 1,000 yards of total offense, 14 total touchdowns, and again, the tremendous play in overtime, the 2-point conversion yesterday to upend Nick Saban and company. So we'll keep it on the ground here locally. Shane, who is to blame for this blunder that allowing Jaden Daniels to thrive anywhere but Arizona State?
Who do you think? Who do you think? The man on ESPN flapping his fucking wings. Herm Edwards. You just saw how bad of a coach he is. But you can't take anything away from Brian Kelly either. That man is a quarterback whisperer.
He is.
He gets the most out of his players. You saw how he treated Jaden and how he interacted with him at the start of the season. He was up in his shit, making sure that this man knew that he can't waste his talent, and he never did. Credit to Jaden and sticking with it. Whenever a player transfers out of your school, you can be a little salty, but if you don't hope for their success, you're a bad person. These are collegiate athletes, to be quite frank. They are 20-year-old dudes, and he has showed time and time again that he belongs in the SEC. He can thrive in the SEC, and you can't teach what he has. You can't teach the ball carrier vision. You can't teach the deep ball that he can throw, and you can't teach his speed. Like he's a phenomenal quarterback, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with the rest of his time at LSU and with Brian Kelly, because I mean, that play call, not only was it a great read, but just going for 2 against Alabama, it was so awesome. And yeah, it was really fun to watch. And as sad as it is as an ASU fan, you can't help but be happy for 5.
Yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill would say that Brian Kelly needs a wagon for his testicular fortitude to carry that around. And it was an electric game, electric performance. I mean, those 3 games, the last 3 games, you'd be lucky to see that performance from Jaden Daniels over a season's length of time playing for Herm Edwards Sun Devils. Unfortunately, there just wasn't a whole lot of production, opportunities for production. And like that win, like that's kind of thrown in the face of his teammates when he entered the transfer portal and they were dogging him at his locker.
They were celebrating, right?
Those losers, like that's for them, right?
Yeah.
That's thrown in their face.
But you will. Those were players that you don't really know of,
right?
You don't hear about
sure.
Because the good ones and the ones that are respectable,
right,
are the ones cheering for him
for sure. But it's for those guys. It's in their face. Yeah. It's not into the whole Sun Devil Nation.
Absolutely,
like the whole fan base.
My last point on Jaden is like what he struggled with a lot here was decision making and giving up on plays too early, and that's not something that Herm Edwards was like, do that, give up on plays too early. Like that's not coaching. Yeah. Coaching is fixing that, and he never could fix that. Brian Kelly, we saw it at the start of the season. We saw it against Florida State. We saw it multiple times in the first half of the season. He would struggle with that. He would give up on plays too early. He rushed like 30 times a game sometimes, and now he doesn't do that. And that's Brian Kelly.
Can I say this too? I don't like Brian Kelly. I don't like that. Like I didn't like that he was tearing up. I don't believe any of that bullshit. Like at the end of the game, like, oh, this is emotional from Holly Rowe, and he's like, yeah, it is emotional. It's like, come on, you struggled out of the gates trying to rebuild a program that was down.
It's also Nick Saban. Like
that's the only person you'll root, for Brian Kelly.
These national championship coaches are all frauds.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Thank you.
Our guy in Clemson, Dabo Sweeney, who thankfully lost yesterday, might be the biggest fraud of them.
God,
might be the biggest fraud of them all. Urban Meyer once upon a time. You have to sell your soul to some degree to win a national championship in college football.
I mean, LSU had an emotional win, but like to see Jason Taylor's kid crying after he catches the 2-point conversion.
That's cool. That's cool.
I mean, why are you crying? You grew up like how he did. Football players.
They're going to win. They're going to win their. They're going to be in the SEC title game.
Great. What are you crying for? What are you crying for?
I'm with you, Bo.
Let the kids have a little fun. We're having fun here.
That's not fun. He's crying.
I'm not having fun anymore. Fuck this shit. No. Here, let's keep it local.
Wow.
The two local teams got.
Hold on. What a national? Northwestern and Ohio State. Did you guys watch that crap?
No, I turned it off.
I can do this really fast. One team isn't good and the other team isn't good.
Yeah.
I was just going to do the combined scores. It was like 95, 50 something.
Well,
check back in next week, ASU, U of A fans.
Hold on. The ASU game was fun last night. It was way more fun than Utah and Arizona. And Utah just controlled that game the entire time. They were far better than Arizona. ASU was in the game until the third quarter, and then they even made it close again, and they had a chance. So I think ASU's performance a little better, but both teams are bad. Move on.
Next week,
next
week's going to be a fun game for ASU, I think, though. I'll tune into Wazoo, ASU. They've got a fun offense. It's probably going to be snowy. It's gonna be just kind of a good afternoon tune-in game for
1
ASU.
p.m.
Yeah,
just do some hanging. You deserve an early kickoff time, too. My man Shane was here till 1 a.m. grinding on that ASU grind. Sun Devils, check out their post-game show if you haven't already. Real quick, gentlemen, predict the Final Four right now. Bo, Brock, first thing.
Oh, my God. Are you really going to put me on that spot? I mean, I think...
It's in the rundown.
Be prepared. You know how I am with your rundowns. I mean, absolutely, it's going to be the two teams that play in the SEC, Georgia, Tennessee, and then you've got... You got Ohio State in there, and then
you think Ohio State over Michigan? You think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan?
I think at the end of the day, I
think Ohio State looked bad, but
Michigan hasn't had a close game this year. They beat the shit out of everybody.
I know, but who they really played.
All right.
I mean, for that fourth team, that's a tough call.
Are you putting TCU in the Final Four?
You know who's going to make it? Oregon's that fourth
No, they're
team.
not.
Yeah,
No,
they
they're
are.
not.
Yeah, they are.
You got to put Michigan ahead of
Oregon's
Oregon.
that fourth team.
How good did Bo Nix look? I mean, I know
How
it's
good-
Colorado.
How
but
good did Kenny Dillingham look?
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator
T-
for Oregon. He's unbelievable. Please come to ASU. Please.
TCU's going to win out. They play Texas next week, Baylor and Iowa State. They're getting in. They'll be the 4th seed. It'll
well,
be
then they got a Big 12 championship game. To
oh
play,
god
right?
against
They-
fucking Cupcake School. I mean that'll be a joke.
Okay.
Oklahoma did this every year where they would just win a bad conference and then they would get in the Final Four. So I think it will be TCU as the 4 seed, Tennessee, Michigan, and Georgia.
Can we pour some out for Saul Bookman's Kansas State
Yeah,
Wildcats
that was
yesterday?
that was
What
ugly.
the hell was that?
That was ugly. That was a no-show. All right, you know what's not a no-show? This show, and we're sponsored by our friends at Underdog Fantasy, Shano.
My favorite place to spice up your NFL Sundays and basically any day of the week. You can their pick'em feature is great. Pick your
all over it.
You can look at their stats,
into it.
your favorite or least favorite player stats. Pick their higher or lower. Get up to 5 right and win up to 20 times your money in one.
Now you don't have to
single
get
day.
all 5 right. I figured this
Insurance.
out. I went 4 or 5, and it was a $5. I made $50 off that. Now I missed out on winning a hundy, but I did pretty well. I was looking at it today. Kenneth Walker's higher or lower total yardage 89.5. I kind of love it.
You kind of like the higher?
Yeah, I like the higher
Wow.
against the Cardinals. I like also the lower Kyler Murray 36.5 pass attempts, and then DeAndre Hopkins over 7 catches. Higher, sorry.
Yeah, definitely use that promo code PHNX. You can click the link in the show notes or search Underdog Fantasy in the App Store. When you use that promo code PHNX, Underdog will double your first deposit up to 100 smackaroos. So definitely go ahead and get in on that action today.
I'm going to give you a little smack. Survey says, today with producer Emma, we're not doing that. We're going to go right in to Tap That App, our favorite segment of the week, brought to you by our fine friends at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Be sure to check us out. You can boost your winnings up to 100% with DraftKings step-up same-game parlays. I low-key have maybe double-digit bets today because I woke up. It was like Christmas morning in November. DraftKings sent me a multitude of props and boosts, and I just started dabbling. I didn't bet on the Cardinal game because I'm scared to death of this team and Kliff Kingsbury right now, but I'm making money, and you should too. New customers can make any $5 bet NBA money line, get $200 back if you win. It's simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code PHNX. That's promo code PHNX on DraftKings Sportsbook app. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details. All right, prop, lock, and drop it time. My co-host on PHNX Cardinals, what do you like prop-wise?
I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins. He has 22 catches through 2 games. That's an average of 11 catches a game.
Yeah.
And right now,
Pretty
it's 6.5. So almost like half of what his production's been over 2 games. That's
Plus the Seattle secondary is really bad.
It is. Tariq Woolen is playing. He's the NFC Rookie of the Year or Rookie of the Month, and probably NFC Rookie of the Year defensively.
He has the second best odds to win Rookie of the Year behind Sauce Gardner.
But anytime, I'd love to see that matchup one-on-one, and I think I'll still give the edge to an elite wide receiver, but get your popcorn out, right? But they're going to look for matchups where he's not on them, and DeAndre Hopkins will feast on that, and there's going to be enough opportunities. 6.5, I'm hammering the over as far as DeAndre Hopkins receptions today.
Seattle secondary might not be good, but they probably have the best names in the NFL for a secondary. Tariq Woolen, Quandre Diggs, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson. Come on. Absolutely.
Your Seahawk homerism is showing, and it makes me want to throw up.
Absolutely elite. So you know how DraftKings has these parlays that they make and give you out, like always have fun names and stuff? I think I would have a fun name or a fun parlay and name it New Team Who Dis. And I would take TJ Hawkinson's over 31.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
It was plus money earlier in the week. Gave that to you guys on PHNX Daily Bets every Monday through Friday at noon. And now it's, I believe, minus 140. They said he's going to play, quote, a lot today. So I love that. And then I love Raheem Mostert's under rushing yards at 63.5, I believe. Maybe it got to 64 this morning because I think Jeff Wilson Jr. gets involved. Mike McDaniel is just collecting the 49ers. He knows the scheme. He knows how to run it. Plus, I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball much today. I think that the Bears are actually going to make this a close game. So give me the under on that. Parlay those two together, get plus money on those odds.
Yeah, I like the over in that game. I want everybody to reach into your pocket right now and try to find some spare change, some loose change. I want you to dabble in a first touchdown score that you can boost up to 100% on DraftKings. DeAndre Swift returns to the lineup for the Detroit Lions in Detroit.
What are we doing?
I do not feel good about the Lions winning this game.
You think he's going to score the first
But
touchdown?
I think DeAndre Swift at plus 1,000 is a hell of a bet for you out there. The Packers, they're dejected. They didn't make a trade at the deadline. Swift is a difference maker. He's averaging like 8 yards per carry. Lions get the ball first. Swift, either a rushing or receiving touchdown. Throw some loose change on it. DraftKings will let you put a bet. Whatever you want, whatever you need, plus 1,000. Boost it on DraftKings. Don't listen to this, man. What do you got
that
going?
might be the. You've had some pretty weird ones. That might be the worst one that I've heard.
Okay, I can't wait for this to hit.
I think it's going to hit.
Rub
now
it
that
in
I
your
said
face
that.
right now.
I think it's going to hit now. that I
Lock of
said
the
that.
day. Shit.
Oh, man. Lock of the day is actually, I saw this little nugget on Instagram, and I saw that where you've got close to a double-digit favorite, the under hits like 59% of the time.
Yeah.
It's like 7-2 this season. And
Yeah.
I see a couple teams that are close to double-digit favorites today, the Bills and the Chiefs, and the Bills are 10.5.
Yep.
And the over-under, the total in that game is 46. So I'm going to take the under for
And
that.
division.
And it's in division against Zach Wilson and the Jets. Absolutely. So give me that as my lock of the day.
Love that.
I'm into that. I'm also into the Miami Dolphins at Soldier Field. Win permitting. I got this line at 3. You can get it at 3.5 right now. The Chicago Bears can't stop a nosebleed, and I think Dolphins are going to be fired up. They added Bradley Chubb. They looked fantastic last week. Tua is playing the best football of his career. We've got Waddle and company in the secondary. Tyreek Hill leads the NFL in receiving yards. The Bears' defense is terrible. You're not going to trade away Roquan Smith and suddenly be able to stop anybody. The only thing that would stop Miami today is if we get a wind chill, temperatures up, and by the looks of geographically, I'm looking at the weather app before this show. It's supposed to be okay, and so I think this is a runaway game for Tua and company. Justin Fields is going to have too much pass rush in his face. The Dolphins, unlike the Cardinals, can go too deep at pass rusher. Between Melvin Ingram, they took the kid Jalen Phillips out of Miami. Now they've added Bradley Chubb. They're stacked up front.
And Emmanuel Ogbah still hasn't done anything.
Their front seven's elite, and they play elite, especially with a lead. So I like them to roll the Chicago Bears today. Swallow the points, minus 3.5.
Johnny, can you do me a favor and say there's a cold front coming in from the south in like a weatherman voice?
High pressure system.
No, I'm not going to do
Come
that.
on, please.
There's a cold front coming in from the south.
Thank you. That was perfect. Defense lock of the week. Green Bay Packers minus 3.5. Aaron Rodgers 18-6 all time against the Lions. They're in Detroit. The Lions Super Bowl was last week. They gave up. It's over. They traded T.J. Hawkinson.
Goodbye.
They're going to be dejected. Give me Aaron Rodgers, the Grim Reaper himself, against the Detroit Lions minus 3.5.
Drop of the week, Mr. Bo Brock.
I'm staying away from XFL, Mahomes, and the Panthers. They are plus 7 against the Bengals. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but I just don't know. I mean, the Panthers have shown up, the last 2 weeks, ever since they cut the cord with Matt Rule. And Steve Wilkes looks like he's got a pulse as a head coach. And
good for Steve.
Yeah, good for Steve. A lot better opportunity than the 2018 Arizona Cardinals somehow.
But the Carolina Panthers are not the most unwatchable product in the NFL. Shane, who's the most unwatchable team?
The Indianapolis Colts.
That's correct. And they head to Foxborough today to take on the Patriots. Derb McSkirt at quarterback versus Mac Jones, who may be benched for Zappy Doo. The over-under, 40 points. Pats are favored by 4.5, but the number one run defense in the NFL is Indianapolis. Of course, the Patriots want to run the ball. It's a gross game. I want to vomit all over myself, but I'm going to watch it at the Lola. You should too with us. I'm just not going to bet on it. Drop it right now.
My drop is actually your lock. I'm staying the hell away from the Dolphins game.
No.
I think that Justin Fields with a competent wide receiver in Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney this week, I think Justin Fields can get it going a little bit. And now the line's 4.5. You mentioned the wind. I hate this game. It freaks me out. Too many differences in last week. Staying away from that.
All right, cuties. That was prop, lock, and drop it. Go on DraftKings now. Dabble. Again, Christmas morning, so many profit boosts, so many opportunities for you to win big money, just like that asshole who bet on the Houston Astros, won $75 million. That old
Mac is not an asshole.
He is. He was yelling at people.
Yeah, because people were yelling at him. He's going to give the money to charity.
Is he going to give it to charity? I don't believe that. Let me see the tax receipts. Let me see the write-offs. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll also believe if Kliff Kingsbury can win today when I see it. That brings us into our last segment. Today, it's flight risk. Holy hell. And this is a flight risk for the Deadbirds. -1.5 now is a favorite.
Wow.
It started at 3.5. You know what? Vegas is begging you to take the Cardinals, and the fan base, everybody outside on DraftKings is saying, nope, we like Seattle, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a must-win, though, for this Arizona Cardinals team. They have to pull out a W today. Otherwise, 2022 season doesn't matter, right? I mean, 3-6, 0-3 in the division. They need a W worse than they've ever needed one. And, you know, they've got to buck every single trend as far as how the Cardinals are playing and how the Seahawks are playing. NFC Offensive Player of the Week. You got both offensive and defensive rookies of the month. The Seahawks have won 3 in a row. They rolled the Chargers. They beat up on the Giants handily last week. It's going to be the Arizona Cardinals are going to have to play like they did on Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago, and then kind of restart things. And now it's turned into like a tournament situation for the Arizona Cardinals. It's survive and advance on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. They need a win almost as much as they need to get home today. They need to dial something up. They need to scheme some blitz, some type of pressure, because Geno Smith, that's the only way that people have been able to stop him this year. He doesn't handle blitz that well, and if you give him time in the pocket, which shouldn't happen, he could tear you up. If you're a Cardinals fan, and Johnny, I know how sick you are about not making trades or not going out and getting that guy that's one year, $6.5 million, like Zadarius Smith. Oh my God, have you seen what he's been doing on the Minnesota Vikings?
Saw it last week.
Yeah, you need to do that. You need to do that. So please get pressure, get home, and get a dub.
Geno Smith, I heard somebody compare him, like his career trajectory, to like Rich Gannon. And I'm like, is that where we've gotten to a point where we're touting Geno Smith through so many games, like you're the next Rich Gannon because you've had a nice stretch.
He's got to cool down.
You've beaten a couple garbage teams. Like they've beaten the Chargers. They were missing like 10 players. The Cardinals, you know, they might be fraudulent this year. No D-Hop. They beat Detroit by 3. They gave up 45 points to Jared Goff. Like,
well, here's what I think is happening with this team is they're beating teams before people realize they're bad.
Yeah.
Because they beat the Broncos. Everyone thought that was a huge win. Doesn't mean shit now. Like, that's just how it is. I think that's what's happening with this team.
They also, here's the thing, they have a 4th place schedule, so they can keep this up. This is all about Kliff Kingsbury. I don't care about Geno Smith for this Sunday. I don't care about Kyler Murray. It's about Kliff Kingsbury going into his building and out coaching Pete Carroll one-on-one, because you have the significant quarterback, you have the significant roster, your owner's box. Michael Bidwell is going to be looking up there. He just put his house on Zillow, maybe to kind of refine his inner circle a little bit. Kliff, are you going to have to put your house
going
up
into a bunker
on Paradise Valley, that sweet little crib you've got there? I think today's either going to be the start of the second half rebound for the Cardinals. There's no in between. They're either going to win today and they're going to go on a run and make things interesting, or they're going to lose today, Bo Brock, and it's going to be the beginning to the end. It's going to be, this was the game where everybody just said, I've had enough. I'm full of Kliff Kingsbury. Good luck to you, sir.
I couldn't agree more. But you look at it, what's the difference between the last time these two teams faced each other? One, you don't have the 12s. You're at home. You're in front of your crowded State Farm Stadium.
Yeah.
And 2, how are you going to combat the interior of that defensive line for the Seattle Seahawks, who gave you such fits?
It's a problem
on the road, right? I mean, Shelby Harrison crew, they were just a wrecking crew. They were just bowling over guys like Sean Harlow and Justin Pugh at the time. And now, can Cody Ford and Billy Price be difference makers? Can they keep Kyler Murray up enough to get enough time to find D-Hop regularly in the passing game and score more than 3 fucking points?
They can't.
3 points offensively, because the touchdown they scored was special teams, Shane. I mean, are they going to be that big of difference makers? I think they can be. This offense has been 10 points better than it was the previous 6 games to when DeAndre Hopkins was out, and it's 100 total yards difference. So hopefully they just come out with a little bit of urgency. That's what's a word that I've heard throughout the week as this team has talked to the media preparing for this game. But at this point, you know, actions have to speak much louder than the words that they've been saying.
Well, that's the biggest thing is DeAndre Hopkins in this game. Like, you just do whatever you can to find this man. And especially against Seattle, they still will not get out of their base 3-4 or base 4-3, line up the corners on the same sides. I know they'd like to be creative with DeAndre this year. You know, they move him in the slot way more than ever. They move him around a bunch. Maybe don't do that today. Maybe find the weak spot. Maybe go at Kobe Bryant. Maybe go at one of these safeties. Like,
Let me ask you this, gentlemen. Do the Cardinals, for the first time this year, score a first quarter touchdown, Bo?
Oh, my God. I mean,
I feel like if they're going to win this game, they have to. You cannot play from behind.
I have 7 games of data that says no, right? That you'd be insane to take that. It's just like do factor.
Who gets more touches today, or Connor?
I mean, we don't even know if
I think
Connor is.
It'll probably be about even, I would imagine. We think James Conner's going to play. But you know what? You know who the leading rusher is for Arizona?
Kyler Murray.
Oh, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Just under 300 yards, 5.9 yards per carry.
300 yards leading rusher.
Eno's at 287, 4.3 yards per pop.
Connor had like 200, right? I mean, so you at your RB1, you've got over
Yeah.
500 yards rushing. So, I mean, you got to keep in consideration Connor got hurt a bunch of weeks ago.
I'm hurt. My heart hurts. This team is just so depressing to watch lately because you look at the landscape of the NFC, it's terrible. This should have played exactly into the Cardinals' hand, where like the Rams are a hot mess, the 49ers are fine, the Seahawks are overachieving. You should have put a stop to that. And then everybody else in the in the NFC conference that made the playoffs last year keeps barfing all over themselves. Green Bay and Tampa look terrible. People thought New Orleans was going to be good, and then it's all the teams out in the East that are overachieving. If I'm Michael Bidwell, I think this makes things worse. I think if the division was the juggernaut that people expected it to be, Bo, and the NFC was playing right into everybody's hands, and the Cardinals took a step back, it would be easier to swallow. You miss the playoffs, and you get swept by Seattle, and the division and the NFC is in disarray. I think it makes things 10 times worse because the opportunity was there. Your team is better than a lot of these teams that are outplaying you every week.
I don't know. People weren't as accepting last year, too, when it was a juggernaut division, and they fell short, and they were the third best team.
But Michael was cool with it because he extended everybody.
And he wanted progress was progress at that point. This is just a clear, no matter how you look at it, whether it's a struggling division or a very successful division, it's a step back. I mean, you can look at it and just realize that this team was underachieving and it couldn't compete with a team that is rebuilding and just rebuilding on the fly and winning football games. I don't know. I mean, I think no matter how you kind of cut it up, this team has played well below how they should have, and they just need to start to change things. It's not going to be a fix-all, just like New Orleans Thursday Night Football wasn't a cure-all. They need a win today, and then they need to parlay that into a win against the down Rams team, and then move forward.
Yeah. 5 minutes until 11 a.m. game time.
Yeah.
Speaking of game time,
Ooh.
the Game Time app.
I love it.
If you want to go to the game after hanging out with us at the Lola,
Are the tickets basically free on Game Time?
they get cheaper. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy tickets last minute. It's great for you procrastinators out there. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. So if you're going to do so, click on that link in the description and get cheap tickets.
I love it. I love all of you. Thanks for hanging with us this morning through the technical difficulties. We hope to have things up and running by the time Cards kicks off this afternoon.
Yeah.
Do it. Come support the Cardinals. Don't let those Seattle homers come into our stadium. They're not first place. They're last place. They're last place in our heart. We want to see red and white flying high at State Farm Stadium. We want to see you right after the show. Everybody hop in their car, get on your bicycle, your unicycle, come over to the Lola. Free entry to the tailgate today with us, myself, Bo Brock, everybody here, and our friends at Bird Gang Travel. So we're going to kick off this win, and hopefully in style. Shane will also be there. I didn't know that till just now, so I didn't want to have you commit to something that you weren't doing already. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us this morning. Check me out, Halftime Show, Damian Anderson, Frank Sanders, the post-game show immediately following Seahawks at Cardinals. Bo Brock live from State Farm Stadium. For Shane Diefenbach, Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you after the game.